Okay, Body Design University personal trainer talk. We are here Wednesday, 2 p.m. Corey Ritter and Doug Blake, again from Body Design University. We are here to help you answer your questions. We have a bunch of them today and just help you get to the next level. Mr. Blake, what's going on?
Oh, but man, I tell you, it's great down here in hot and humid, wet,
sunny South Florida.
Sunny South Florida, man. Wouldn't give it up for anything.
Well, it looked like it was getting ready to rain here in Atlanta today. So I think it might rain a little bit this afternoon, but we have a great line of questions. I was just taking a look at some of them a minute ago. Yeah, some of these are really great. So questions in regard to nutrition, training. We've got some business questions, helping a client with back surgery. We've got billing questions. We've got questions on online training. So nice. We've got a lot of,
we seem to be getting a lot more questions on online training, aren't we?
I think yes, primarily just not just because of the technology, the age that we're in, but because of the pandemic and people, still looking for another option. Some of these places kind of, I don't know, has anything shut back down? And I don't even know what's going on. Are they just increased restrictions?
Yeah, I know that there are some areas that have now required masks again in some areas. So for instance, my daughter up in upstate New York at college, they've got them wearing masks again. And some other areas I've heard. And ironically enough, at my veterinarian, where I take my dog, they went back to, now I can only engage with them outside the actual facility. So I gotta.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I found out that the numbers, I guess, started going back up because a couple of weeks ago, I don't know if you remember when I called you, but I've been going to Publix, and I pulled up to Publix to go into the grocery to grab something, and everyone was walking in with masks on. I was like, what is going on? Because no one had been wearing masks for at least a month or two. And then everyone was. So I was like, that's when I called and asked. But okay, guys, personal trainer talk. We are going to answer a bunch of questions. If you are out there, again, who is this for? This is for the personal trainer that is either just getting started or has been personal training for a very long time. That's what this little talk is for. Every Wednesday at 2:00. If you have a question, you want to have a dialogue, and look, don't be shy. We'd like to have a conversation. Jump on here. Don't just look. We like these questions that you're sending in. We love them, and we love getting to them. We'd like to have conversation too. So if you have one of these questions and want to join in, you could click the link below somewhere. It'll take you to the Zoom. We'll bring you in, and then you could ask your question and we can have a conversation about it. But we do have a great lineup. So that's what this is all about. No matter where you're at, we're here to answer your questions, both in the science of personal training and the business. And the goal is, again, to take you to another level. So Doug, are you ready to get this show on the road? I know Johnny is here with us today. He pinged me earlier and said we had a bunch of questions coming in from the Facebook groups, the NASM, the ACE, and the BDU. So we're gonna field a couple of those questions. He's gonna throw them at us, and we're gonna take care of those too. But let's get started. Does that sound good?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So and remind me, Doug, a little bit later if you would ask the question. I wanted to talk a little bit about just the main ingredients of how to perform at a higher level from a sales standpoint for personal trainers.
Okay.
And I had some thoughts that we had in a meeting earlier this week that I wanted to share with the personal trainers out there. So if you would remind me and throw that question at me, and we'll do it. Okay. First one is coming in from Melissa in Austin, Texas. Melissa from Austin, Texas. How long does it take to get started as a trainer? How long does it take to get started as a trainer? Great question, Melissa. Generally, to get started, it could happen pretty quickly. We at Body Design University and just, other places, even NASM, ACE, and some of these other certifications, you can really knock it out if you go hard, if you're full time at it. And that's the big differentiating factor is that when you say get started, are you working on it part-time? Are you working on it full-time? So this is like getting insurance, getting your certification, studying all that. I mean, literally you can get this done in like 10 weeks. We tell our students that if you're full-time and you have, all the energy to commit to this, you can literally get it done in 10 weeks. Does that mean that you're done? No. As a personal trainer, you never stop learning. And when I say that, and it's not like cliche. I mean, like you're never stop learning. You have to get better and better constantly. But to get started, to answer your question, about 10 weeks. And that includes passing your national exam and being an accredited NCCA accredited certified personal trainer. So that's generally, when you say how long does it take, that's what I would say. Doug, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, of course, at the end of the day, you got to get some clients. I mean, that's really, if you're, again, I'd have to know more specifically when you say getting started. Technically, I always looked at it as I've got to get clients. I could step into a gym and actually start training some folks.
I think what she's saying is like, how long does it take to get started to be able to take on clients?
Gotcha. Yeah. So the educational component of it. Yeah, we have it. I mean, we have a very, very formalized, sort of standardized way to do this in a 10-week process. So yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I would say. Now, Melissa, just to throw this out there for you, if you do it part-time, I would say, plan anywhere from 3 months to 6 months. Realistically, if you're doing this like part-time, if you're doing it like 20 hours a week or, I don't know, 10 hours a week, maybe 3 months. If you're doing it like just on the weekends every now and then, 6 months.
Could be up to 6 months.
But yep. If you're full-time, you can knock this out in 10 weeks. So that's that. Next question is, let's go to Chris. Chris is asking, Chris from Puerto Rico. Okay. Puerto Rico in the house. How much protein should my clients eat? How much protein should my clients eat? Doug, you wanna take that one first?
Oh my goodness! Wow.
So let's give them some good information, not only in a day, but let's just say in each meal. Let's hit them hard.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, even the low end recommendations of 0.8 grams of protein per pound kilogram of body mass is just just way too low. So even if we go to the very low end, I've anywhere between 1.2, 1.5, upwards of 2.0, right, grams of protein per kilogram of body mass itself. We tend to not get too caught up in this kilogram per this, per that, and we just basically say anywhere between 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. And of course, that's going to be mediated by all the other different variables that go into protein need, i.e. body fat percentage, what an individual's goals are. But from the perspective of a trainer dealing with the average, apparently healthy individual, probably more protein than they're eating right now. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know. I mean, you tell me. I've probably 90% of all the clients I've ever dealt with were simply not consuming enough protein. And not only that, nowadays we're finding people consuming more and more what would be considered lower quality vegetable proteins because of the big push towards plant-based nutrition, which is great for your overall health, but now there's a loss in protein quality. So you got to throw that into the mix as well.
Yeah. I've always, Chris, I've always used the formula, as Doug said, if I'm measuring their body composition, which I would with every client that I worked with, once I determined how much lean body mass they had, I would use that 0.8 to 1.2. But to make it real simple for you, if you just use 1 gram per pound of body weight, that's always just a general formula that we would use without even measuring their body composition. 1 gram per pound of body weight. Now, if you can really narrow it down to their body composition and understand their lean body mass, a gram, literally a gram to 1.5 grams is what we're seeing. So, Chris, I hope that helps. In each meal, we'd want to split that up just as an example. So let's just say you got somebody, you've got a female that's 150 pounds and, she wants to gain muscle or lose body fat, whatever the goal is, 150 pounds. Well, if we use that marker, we're saying 150 grams of protein. And in a perfect world, the way that the body would enjoy that protein is as evenly as possible throughout the day. So if we're on the bandwagon and the boat to subscribe, 6 meals throughout the day, which includes snacks, so breakfast snack, lunch snack, dinner snack, then we would take that 150 grams of protein and we would distribute that evenly throughout those 6 meals. And that's really important. And something that, as Doug said, that we've always found the clients struggled to get in the amount of protein so almost always we recommend a protein supplement, almost always, to get to the protein count. Because if not, they're having to eat so much animal protein or, just food, just in general. But if they supplement it with a protein shake, so generally speaking, we'll have a meal and then a shake. And Doug?
And we always have to, anytime we answer questions on nutrition or exercise, we always have to follow that, with the understanding that just like if you were taking a trip from New York to California and you're looking on a map, you set your plan to go from point A to point B, but you've got your starting point. So anytime we have to kind of make sure you understand that we gave you an answer that is a starting point. And we don't, the real answer is, I don't know how much protein that person needs. I don't know how much protein that person needs, but you got to start somewhere. And what we know is through lots of research now, that for the most part, people tend to, especially Americans, people that don't normally eat well, they don't tend to get enough good quality protein in their diet, or they're getting it in a way that's bringing too much other poor choice of foods along with it. And so you got to start somewhere, and that's the starting point. And then what we do as personal trainers, we take people through this process of helping them to eat better. And then we start to navigate away or stay on the path with those particular, in this, for instance, protein intake as needed. If we got to cut the protein lower and add more carbs or whatever the case is, that's what we do. In some cases, if I deal with athletes, for instance, some of the numbers that we're dealing with now on athletes are significantly higher than we would ever think we would be feeding them. And they're getting stronger, faster, and leaner with increases in protein. So we always have to add that, right, Corey? We always got to add that at the end. We gave you an answer, but the answer is a starting point, and I hope that helps.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, let's bring in Johnny. Johnny's got some questions from the net for us. Johnny, I'm going to send you a notification. You can unmute yourself and go ahead and fire away with the first one.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
All right.
Hey, so Johnny.
Hey. So the first question we have here, it's going to be from Corrine Almeida from Brockton, Massachusetts. And I got this from the Body Design University group that we have here. So her question is, what insurance should she be using for herself and for her gym establishment?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for that question. We have been using a company that you can go to, insureyourclub.com. I think is the domain. I'll put it in the caption later if that's not it, but I believe it's insureyourclub.com. We've been using them for years, and both for the club and also for independent trainers. Now, with that being said, recently we've been referring or recommending Next Insurance. We've heard some good things about Next, NEXT. You could check them out, both for liability insurance for personal trainers. They also give a discount if you're NASM, ACE, or BDU kind of certified or a graduate. So you want to look into that. But generally speaking, those are the two that we would recommend that you take a look at. Insureyourclub.com, and I believe it's Next, NEXT.com or nextinsurance.com, whatever it might be. Those are the two that we're recommending right now. I also know that if you are NASM or ACE, sometimes you'll get materials that from them directly after you're certified, saying, here's, somebody that we use. And quite frankly, what I recommend is just kind of shop it, just compare the three. And, but generally speaking, you're looking at about $200, give or take, about $200, $250 a year for about $1 million worth of coverage. So hope that answers your question. Johnny, what else? What else you got for us?
All right, so that one was a little bit of a warm up. I just had to throw you guys a softball.
Okay. All right.
This next one is from Deb Hardwood, Diagola from over in Boston, Massachusetts. All right, and I got this from the 8th Personal Training Study Group. Okay. Her question is, for those of us who are currently training, I've started an outdoor boot camp, essentially with social distancing, with about 2 members. She's wondering if, when restrictions are lifted, if she should start charging folks for this, and more specifically the people that she already has in the group. She says she might feel a little bit awkward about that, but she's looking for advice on, should she charge, should she not charge, how should she go about this?
Did she make at the top of the question, did she say that she is a personal trainer right now?
She just says that she's just currently training them. So
okay,
it started out as a free deal.
Okay. Right. And I'm sorry, what was her name again?
Yeah. So the name was Deb.
Deb.
Yep.
Okay. Deb. So thanks for that question. Doug, you can pipe in on any of the thoughts that you've heard me kind of share over the time. But generally speaking, as a personal trainer and a boot camp trainer, for example, those are 2 completely different business models. And I learned this the hard way. But the reality is the market and avatar, the profile of the folks that will do personal training and one-on-one personal training and pay a certain rate versus the folks that do a boot camp, there's very small crossover. Most people are either boot camp folks that want to go to a boot camp, very low ticket, big groups, not specific type generally. And there's personal training clients, either one-on-one or small group. I definitely do not recommend blending the two. So to answer your question, if you're planning to be a boot camp trainer, and that's what you want to do is outdoor boot camps, then yes, start charging. As a matter of fact, I would start charging right now, even in the pandemic. I would just create your rates and start charging, and just tell the folks that the 2 people that you have right now, that this was a trial run. It's going to end at the end of August, and on September 1, basically, here are going to be the rates if you want to continue and start doing that. If you want to be an outdoor boot camp trainer. And by the way, that's a great business model. It's been very successful for many years now in our industry, but it's totally different than personal training. It really is. If you're saying that you're doing that until you focus on your personal training, then that's different. Then no, I would not charge for that. What I have done successfully that has worked really well is have ran for many years an outdoor group that we still run called Cardio Blast. We've never charged for it ever in over, I guess 10, 15 years now, thousands of workouts, thousands of people. It was just a community workout that we would do for our existing clients and then people in the community. It's completely free, but it let us get our name out. And as a matter of fact, when I first launched the Cardio Blast, people were so shocked that there was no charge that it ended up getting a news placement on Fox 5 here in Atlanta. And once Fox 5 picked it up, then CBS picked it up. It was really crazy, but basically it was free. It was a free community workout. We still do it every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. We call it Cardio Blast. Now, the personal training, if you're going to do personal training, keep that separate, but I would not market both of those. I tried, and it was not a good idea, where I was going to create a boot camp for example, $100 to $200 a month, and then a personal training program. And then we had people coming in through the website. Half of them wanted to do the boot camp. Half of them wanted to do the personal training, for example. And then once they got to the boot camp, they were like, well, maybe I should do the personal training. And the personal training clients that would generally pay, $300, $400, $500, they're looking at the boot camp option and saying, well, I'm just going to do the $100 a month boot camp option, when they probably would have done so I just recommend being one or the other. I recommend going into a lane and staying in that lane, and being really good at it, because you could have a really good business model just in boot camp training and a really good business just in personal training. So, Doug, what other thoughts do you have on that?
Yeah, I think the first thing you said about the demographics is really the key, because at the end of the day, I like to train these type of folks. I like to train these type of folks, and I like to train outdoors, just as a for instance. So I actually did a boot camp class for a while, way back when, just getting out of the military. So I still had my BDUs and everything. So I actually, how's that for a visual right there, huh? So and I liked the idea of getting outdoors and beating people. I mean, training people kind of the same way that I trained when I was in the military. So yeah, from a demographic perspective, you're right. They are very, very different people. But you're also correct in that it's a great business model. It really is. And we know folks that do that, and that's all they do. And they do pretty well.
Yeah, you just need to understand that it is a completely different business model and what that looks like, and that's really it. But I hope that answers your question, Johnny. We're going to jump back to some of these emailed questions, and then I'll come back to you. Okay.
All right, guys.
All right. Thanks for that,
Johnny.
Okay, so yeah, I remember running some of those boot camps, and I just wanted to add on another service. The studio was booked. It was booked. And I started doing some outdoor boot camps, and really what I should have done at the time, and I didn't, was focused all my energy, either increase my rates at the gym, increase the rates, or focus my energy. Ultimately ended up opening, the next location, but
it creates some new logistical issues, doesn't it? When you
does.
add the boot camp component to it.
Yeah, because you're also then you're like, are we going to have one of the trainers from the gym do it? That's doing personal training. Do they want to do it? Do we? Okay, no. So then we ended up hiring a separate trainer that was just focused around the boot camp. Well, that's building that up is like building up a business. So then you've got to have enough clients for them to do that, and then enough times a week, because if you run a boot camp 3 days a week, you're not looking for a full-time personal trainer.
Right.
And it's hard to find a part-time personal trainer to run the boot camp. So it logistically, can it be done? Absolutely. Is there a good model? I would just focus 100% on that. And I've always loved.
Yeah, there's also an issue with the expectation of results. Wouldn't you say, when we do boot camp?
Well, I think at times, let me give you an example. I had grown the group. It was crazy. I'll never forget it. Like it was like yesterday, 80 people showed up for one of these workouts. Do you know what it's like to train 80 people? I was by myself.
Wow.
I was literally by myself. 80 people showed up for this workout, Piedmont Park here in Atlanta, Georgia.
And bullhorn?
That's what literally I was going to order one. Check this out. So some of my clients at the studio would also show up to the boot camp workouts, to the free workout that I was doing on Saturday. And the group was so big, and I was yelling. So the folks all the way down at this end and the folks all the way down at this end, I'm literally I'm stepping in front of a massive line of people. Wow. I'm demonstrating the lunge. I'm demonstrating the ball jump squat, whatever I'm doing next. I'm demonstrating it so they can see, because they can't hear me. Well, at the end of the workout, one of my clients made it a point. Okay. I'll never forget it. Come up to me. It's like, Corey, man. And I was like, there were so many people. It was so much fun. I literally, the workout that I did, it was a moving workout. So we didn't stay in one part of the park. What we did is we moved throughout the park. So I literally had a train of people. I mean, we went through the stairs, and then we went over to these hills, and then we used these rails, and then we did sprints in the big yard, and lots of fun, but it'd be better with like 2 more trainers. Long story short, client comes up to me and says, Corey, look, I just want to let you know that me and he was with his wife, we're probably not going to be coming back. on a regular. And I was like, oh yeah. I was like, what's going on? He's like, well, it's just the group has gotten so big. We couldn't even hear the exercise that you're saying. And I say that because you think like, whoa, basically it's true. They couldn't hear, but logistically, when you're training a lot of people, things just change. It's just not the same. So you get prepared for that and you make it happen.
Crazy.
Yeah. All right. Melinda from Sacramento, California. Sacramento. Where is Sacramento? Is Sacramento's north?
It's just north. Yeah. When I lived in Fresno, Sacramento was about, I don't know, what, an hour and a half, something like that. Yeah.
Is Sacramento north of San Francisco?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So Fresno is north of San Francisco.
Fresno is just, I believe it was northeast. Yeah. So Fresno is kind of in the center. I remember, great place to live. All the fruits and vegetables, right in the San Joaquin Valley, which is like the breadbasket of the country and the world to some extent. But yeah, and then Sacramento is up further north.
Gotcha. So she says, how much can I make as a personal trainer? How much money can I make as a personal trainer is what she's asking. Melinda, that's a great question. And there's a lot to it because, how much can you make? Millions. Melinda, you can make millions as a personal trainer. Well, if you launch like a personal training franchise and you build a bunch of studios and, but are we talking about getting a job at the gym part-time? Are we talking about opening up your own studio? There's a lot to this, but I'm just going to try to give you, just some basic ideas around the US. And there's a big difference between also running your own business versus, working at a facility. And you have to know which is the best fit for you because there's a lot to it. Generally speaking, we would like to see trainers throughout the US and the markets are a little bit different. So if you're in if you're in New York City versus North Carolina, it's totally different. But we're seeing full-time trainers that are successful, that have a book of business anywhere between, I would say, 50 to 70,000, something like that, give or take, is a fair amount in the average market. In the city, you gotta, they're earning more, they're charging a lot more. In the podunk, a little bit less. But again, it's a really roundabout because if you're some of the trainers on average that are successful in some of these big box gyms, they're not paying well. They're just not. Let me do some math for you. One of the number one employers of personal trainers in the world, meaning the most personal trainers, had paid like $10 per session one-on-one, meaning that's all they could make is like $10 per session, not small group training of like 5 people or 3 people, one-on-one, $10 per session. So think about this. Simple math. We talk about this in the live course all the time, but who's going to go and take a job at a place like this? You can't survive off of that. Even if you're like the best trainer in the world, you get the best results and every hour of your day is booked. And even if you work 50 hours a week, you're making $500 for 50 hours a week, back to back, every hour with clients. That's $2,000 a month. That just doesn't work, right? Yeah. That doesn't work. But that's the number one employer of personal trainers. And the reality is most trainers in that company are making $1,200 a month. It's really bad, because you can't be booked every hour of the day. And in a lot of cases in that same company, they're coming in early in the morning, they're working 3 or 4 hours, they're leaving for 3 or 4 hours, and they're coming back and working at night. And that's a broken business model too. You wouldn't want to do that. Sometimes when we start, we have to, but I share that because that is the biggest employer. Now, so generally speaking, Melinda, the smaller the box, the larger the pay. So the bigger, this isn't always the case, okay? But generally speaking, the bigger the company, the bigger the gym, the smaller the pay. It's like a factory. The smaller the box, the closer generally that you get to the owner, and the compensation is a little bit higher. So the private studios, the small one-off gyms generally pay a little bit more. So 50 to 70, I think that's pretty realistic. There's some rock stars that are doing 100,000 as an employee. I've seen it. I know that there's some trainers that have done that. I've had a trainer in the past do that, but it's rare. As a W-2. But as an independent running your own business, I like to have the trainer shoot for a target of billing out 10 grand a month. And depending on how good they are with their money, if they can operate everything on 3 to 4 grand a month, you do the math. So 120,000 a year, you can kind of take out those expenses. If they can fall between, 60 and 80, that's good money management from a personal trainer, because of the ad spend and everything. So, gosh,
Oof.
Doug, that's a lot.
Wow.
That's a lot. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to,
Man.
how much you can make as a personal trainer. And I'm not even going to talk about part-time, Melinda, because that could be, $100 a week. It could be whatever, depending on how many hours. But as a full-time trainer, I'm going to answer your question. Doug, what other thoughts do you have on that?
I'm just going to tell you that at the end of the day, when you're really good, and the better you get, the better your prospects. I think I've told you, when I started training people, I did not undercut the value of my training. So I pushed my numbers up pretty high compared to the other trainers that I was around, but I was constantly trying to get better and better and always getting results. And the better you get at getting people results, not just what people think about you, right? The way you look or whatever the case is. But when you really understand and you're humble enough to continue learning how to do this, you can help people get results. And at the end of the day, if I can get you results and people know that, guess what my value, my time value becomes higher. And now the cream is going to rise to the top. Look, we know trainers charging significant hourly rates, and don't settle for the average training rate. Don't settle for that. Try and become the best trainer you can be. And your name will become synonymous with a higher level of service and productive outcomes for your clients. And then you'll be the person that they're seeking out. So
yeah, just as a general rule of thumb, Melinda, you always charge more, not less. That's just a general rule. Most trainers undercharge. They really do. When I take a group of trainers in a room and I ask them how much they're charging, because part of the training is how much should I charge? What I find is just like, people doing sessions out there for $20-$30. It's just stop the madness.
crazy.
And so basically, but I'm just getting started. Well, I just got certified, but I don't have any clients. I'm going to build it up. No. Don't do it. Start high and go higher. That's basically the general. And what I have told, trainers in the past is that, what do you think you should charge? Don't tell me. What do you think you should charge? Okay. And if you're a trainer out there right now and you're listening to this, how much do you think you should charge? Now I want you to take a calculator, multiply that by 150%. Okay. And that's what you should start charging. Generally that has worked. It should be higher.
Hold on a second. Let me try this.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Let's bring, I see Johnny back here with a couple more questions.
It's a good question. It's a really good question though.
Yeah, no, it really is. And it's important. It's important. All right, Johnny, what do you got for us?
All righty. So, man, you just stole one of them away from the NASM group. It was Sanika, Sanika Warrior from Atlanta, Georgia, from the NASM group, asking, what is the best business advice for a fresh trainer that has never been in this field until now? What is one of the major pitfalls she should be aware of? That's her question.
Well, that's great. We did touch on that, but there's more that we can add. Doug, you want to give a little feedback on that?
I would say the pitfalls are definitely going to be issues related to the money and the finances, because a lot of trainers will come into this. They'll come into the industry with what we know. And Corey, we ask this all the time in a live course. Why does everybody want to do this? What's the goal? And the answer is to help people, right? That's why I did it. I wanted to help people. And sometimes one of the pitfalls that new trainers will get into is they forget that in the process of helping people, you got to make a living, and you got to value the time and your servicing that you're going to provide to your clients. So one of the biggest pitfalls is going into say a big box gym and saying, okay, I guess I'll just settle for $12 an hour or whatever the case is. So you've got to be very, very careful. You can still help people. In fact, you'll probably help more people in a more substantive way if you value your time and therefore charge the way you should be charging, and what we always recommend, which is generally going to be higher than what we see even in the standard market right now.
Yeah, and the funny thing when I hear that too, Doug, the thing that stinks is that there's some not so good trainers out there. Let's be honest, right? And I hate to use the blanket statement of you charge more, because some people out there training should not even be training. I mean, just like, right? Am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
You know, so it's hard to give that recommendation of, hey, charge more or whatever. But look, Johnny, that question is like, to avoid the pitfalls is specifically with getting started. Everyone could do the math. In that example I gave earlier of the income from the biggest gym employer of personal trainers in the United States, at least, and that pretty much makes it the world, is that you could do the math. If you do that math and you figure out, wow, that's if I'm booked every hour of the day, this is what I would make. If that doesn't make sense, then it doesn't make sense and it doesn't work. And take responsibility for that, because what would happen is we've had trainers over the years take the jobs at these big gyms, and specifically, these big employers, get underpaid, get burnt out, and then come looking for a better job. And, they're kind of pointing the finger at that company and bashing them, when truly they told them exactly what they were going to pay them. They paid them what they said they were going to pay them, and they accepted the job. So it's a matter of doing some math. So I would say to her, just make sure that not only that you like the compensation, but the gym that you're inquiring about, you like the vibe there. The vibe is very important. You got to go somewhere that you really like and you want to work, and that the team that you want to be a part of. Those are some main things. But if you come back with any specifics, we'd be happy to kind of dive into those too. Johnny, what else do you have for us?
Right. So next one we got here is from Dana. I'm gonna maybe butcher this name, Pualani Keith from South Lake Tahoe, California. This was also from the NASM Personal Trainer Study Group. Her question, just, hey, what are the best ways to remember underactive and overactive muscles? Basic.
Man, that is a great question. I know Doug is going to help a lot of people with this because it gets asked so often. Doug, give it to him.
All the time. I have no idea. No, look, here's that is the standard question. And of course the answer is if you just want to memorize something, that's really pretty straightforward. We use a method known as the read, write, recite method, which appears to help a whole more than the majority of folks when it comes to any material. It doesn't have to be memorizing muscles. The real issue with overactive and underactive is not with memorizing the names of muscles. The key to the overactive, underactive conundrum that people have is knowing your basic anatomy and your kinesiology. If you would study and show interest, if you are a personal trainer, then you are interested in basic kinesiology, biomechanics. You don't even realize it. You're interested in your biceps, you're interested in your pecs, you're interested in your quads and your hand. So the goal, anytime we try to help students memorize something, we got to take a step back and figure out, why do you need to even know the names of these muscles? Memorizing the name of the particular muscle is not the issue. Okay. So the iliopsoas, although you can't even spell it and some people can't even pronounce it, that's not difficult to memorize the name. The question is why do you need to even memorize those particular muscles? And the answer is because you want to help people, and because people have really poor posture. And so what people are really asking is well, how do I memorize the normal distortion syndromes, right? because that's where this comes from, are these distortion syndromes. So here's the key is get yourself some paper, and on your paper, each one of your particular corrective exercise distortion syndromes, right? So sway back and the other distortion syndromes that you read in the NASM textbook, you have your own sheet of paper just for that. Okay, look at what it is and try then to simply understand that particular issue that people have. And then you just put your OA and UA side of the table and list your muscles, and then list them over and over, read it, rewrite it, say it out loud. And then here's the kicker. And a lot of students already know this. Do it yourself. Do the movement yourself.
Right.
That is, I'm going to tell you, you don't need me to tell you this. Most folks will simply go, and by the way, we hear this all the time. When I actually did this, I started to realize, oh, that's right. Internal rotation is the lats. Okay, the serratus anterior does protract. Oh, that's why. And so again, my recommendation is you have a sheet of paper for each one of those particular postural distortion syndromes, they're called. And you just spend some time on each one of those. So you look at it and then do it yourself, sway back, right? If you've got this, or if you got the pes planus syndrome, any of those particular, just give yourself a sheet of paper for each one.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath and then spend your time looking at those. And then when you do it, you go, oh yeah, they got this polka muscle thing that shows you, this is my pec, right? This is my pec, this is my sir. So if I'm doing this, well, yeah, of course, the overactive muscles are those that are shortened and they're going to pull you into a position. Underactive muscles are just those muscles that are antagonistic to the overactive muscles, and they're going to lengthen, and they're not doing what they're supposed to do. So if you're just trying to memorize names of muscles without understanding the underlying principles why, and being excited, I get excited about it, because now I look at people and I go, man, well, of course, look, their lateral gastrocnemius is overactive, and I know that their hamstring, I know their gluteus medius, blah, 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 blah. It makes sense because I can see it, and then I can kind of move it.
Now, man, gosh, Doug, you hit that one out of the park. It's funny, Johnny, thanks for that question. We get that all the time from the NASM group too, because not just for everyone listening, it's really tested a lot in the NASM CPT. And that's one of the reasons why we get that question often. But, it's so true. If you just apply it to what you're doing, you're going to remember it more if you're just trying to memorize it without really having that interest. So that's huge. Thanks for that, Doug.
My real quick, my youngest daughter's boyfriend is a competitive swimmer. And I literally a week and a half ago, I just showed him some basic corrective movements for stretching and strengthening, because he's got, this internal rotation of shoulder, protraction of the shoulder girdle. And if you understand it from that perspective, you're not going to ask, how do I memorize it? You're going to be actually excited to go in there and go, whoa, no wonder.
Did you have him doing some external rotations? Well, I mean,
trying, dude, are you serious?
Come on, man. Were you charging him by the hour?
I told him, I said, man, you better hurry up and get a job, because when you get my bill, I'm just...
Gabster, we're just playing. We're just messing. Okay. All right. So really cool. Let's move on to the next one. Christy, Tampa, Florida says, how do I train someone after back surgery? So basically, client has had back surgery, and how do I train somebody? Christy, Doug can dive in this a little deeper, but generally speaking, I've trained a lot of people with back surgery after, and I kind of let their body do the talking. And what I mean by that is, obviously we're going to get a physician's release, and we're going to go based on what the doctor is recommending and has cleared them for, but I'm going to take it really slow. That's really it. But I'm not going to, in most cases, I'm not going to have to make massive adjustments because they just had back surgery. Generally, they're coming back in after they've recovered. Okay. the modification that I'm going to make is mostly based on the intensity and the amount of weight and maybe the amount of reps. But I'm going to do the same exercises, just going to do it really low intensity, very slow, very careful. But I will tell you something that has stuck out with me for many years. About, I don't know, maybe about 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, I was training a client, had knee surgery. And I was really cautious training him because I didn't want to mess it up, right? I didn't want to get him hurt. And it was funny, but as we started to do some of these lunges, that created him a little bit of discomfort. We continued to do those because the doctor cleared, and the doctor even recommended that he do these exercises. And over time, the pain went away. And by doing those exercises that I thought were going to be an issue, actually helped this client heal, help this client get back. And it's just, but great question, Doug. What else could you throw in there for Christy is asking again, how do I train somebody after back surgery?
There's so much to it. Obviously, it depends on what the actual surgery was for, whether it was a disc or whatever the case is. I would say there's kind of two things to keep in mind. Number one is the fact that you ask what you should do means that you have this sense of caution, of course, which is really, really good, right? So there's that part of it. But ironically enough, you don't want to be so over cautious that you forget that if they came back in to train with you, they've gone through whatever they've gone through surgical, then they've gone through physical therapy. More than likely, they've gone through physical therapy. And if they've gone through physical therapy, then for the most part, they are ready and obviously willing and able to start the training. It's funny. We always have to keep in mind, and I knew this very early on, that personal trainers are, for the most part of the healthcare continuum, which means we need to be considerate and concerned always about what has happened on the physician end, and then on the therapeutic end, and then what they are now recommending for a professional trainer to do and what not to do. So I can't give you specifics on stretching or anything. Ironically enough, I've trained lots of folks with back issues, particularly with disc removal, and then
fusions,
and then fusions, and ironically enough, the stretching of it was not really, for a lot of folks, the best way to do this. It was actually using what we do with the average person, which is postural correction. And so, I think just like you said, Corey, the goal is really based on intensity, of course, range of motion limitations, all of those issues that you already know if you've gone through a well-structured personal training certification course and gone on for your national exam. So all of those in place would
Christy, just remember this, and for all the trainers listening in and are going to, basically, it's all about judgment. So, you got to use good judgment, follow the doctor's orders, but use judgment. Make sure that you have liability insurance. Okay. Make sure that they sign a release and everything. But Christy, can this person do you think they can do chest press? Do you think that they can do some bicep curls? Do you think they could do some tricep push downs, some tricep kickbacks? Do you think they could do some shoulder press? Okay. Probably at the right intensity level. Yes. But do you think they should be doing burpees with a box jump? Do you think they should be doing jump squats? So you have to use some judgment. You just have to use some judgment on what is best for that person based on your training, your certification. But you can, and of course,
knowing basic anatomy and physiology, especially of what we see normally is lumbar spine issues. That's where we tend to see, if they've had surgeries, dealing with lumbar spine issues. And of course, the big thing, I just did a weekly study on this, on the LPHC, the lumbar pelvic hip complex, and just understanding, by the way, whether they have a back problem or not, all this twisting stuff that people tend to do with folks, we normally would say that's truly contraindicated. So that would be something just to kind of keep in mind. Know your anatomy, know your phys, physiology, understand the lumbar spine and the pelvis and its actions and motions and what's most appropriate. Not remember when people used to do those side bends? Do they still do those things?
Dude, do not
You
call
know,
me out. Do not call me out
dude,
like that. Okay.
do you
Do
still
not
do
call me out.
those?
No, I don't, but I did. And I swore that my obliques were popping out. I'm just telling you, maybe it wasn't the case, but back, 1999, Gold's Gym, Palm Beach, Florida.
You had like 60 pounders, didn't you? Weren't you like doing like 60s?
Dude, I had, not only did I do that, but I literally had a special way that I would do that. And I would like,
oh boy.
And I would hold and I would, oh man. Oh yes. Yes, I did those. And I literally, that's back when, I can eat hamburgers and had a 6-pack with no problem. Cheeseburgers, that is. All right. So, Christy, I hope that helps. Use good judgment. Help that client get the results. Okay, moving on. We've got a couple more. Steven from Bricktown, New Jersey. I know where that's at. That's not too far from where my dad used to live. Steven, Bricktown, New Jersey. How do I set up the billing for my clients?
Ooh.
How do I set up the billing? Well, there's a lot to that, but in short, the best practice today for billing is month to month, okay, and on a reoccurring basis, specifically for in-person personal training. So if you're asking how do I set it up, that means that you're independent, you're doing your own thing, because gyms are going to already have it set up. So if you're asking how to set up, you're an independent, you want to set it up on a monthly basis, just like this. Okay. I use this example all the time. Let me draw this out. See if I can. Probably not going to be.
Oh boy.
I'm not the best artist here, but I do have a massive art project going on right now. All right. Let me see if I can make this make sense. Okay. All right. So check this out. Can you see that? Does this work? Can you hear me? Can I like?
Well, I need to get you a whiteboard, don't I?
Can I lounge back at the same time? Okay, here we go, Steven. Are you ready? Really simple. How do you set up your billing? You guys need to know this if you don't have this. Look, if you're using PayPal, if you're using Cash App, or you're using Venmo, pay attention right now. Okay, again, let me say, if you're using PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo, pay attention right now. If you want a business that actually is going to survive the next 6 months, pay attention. Here we go. All right. So the goal is to have probably 20 clients. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Give or take, you're going to have about 20 clients. Okay. That you're going to want to be billing consistently. That's generally, I have 25, 15, but 20 clients, what you want to get to. Well, if I meet with each one of these clients at the very beginning and I set up an arrangement that says, hey, Susie, when you start to train with me, I'm going to bill you on the, today's the 15th. Well, today's the 11th. On the 11th day that every month, I'm going to bill you, $350, $500, whatever it is. I'm going to bill you $500 on the 11th day of every month. So it starts today and then the next every month until you're ready to finish. And whenever you're ready to finish, Susie, you just got to give me a week notice. That's all I ask is a week notice. So this is month to month. You could train for as long or as little as you'd like, but you do have to give me a week notice. And it's just going to be reoccurring. So I do that. And I have that one-time meeting with all of these clients when they sign up with me. Right. And so then I know, for example, that I'm billing $10,000, give or take, dollars a month. If I have 20 clients, I'm billing them, give or take $500. I just follow me on this. Okay. So now I have a residual that I know that I have coming in each month, unless somebody cancels. Now, the opposite with like PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo is that, think about this. I have to go to each one of these people, generally speaking, every month and tell them your sessions are up. It's time to renew. Can you do me another Cash App? Sending them a text message. Your sessions are up. Can you, on different days? It's just really stop the madness. It is crazy.
Inefficient.
So what you do is it's totally inefficient. You're going to take all those people instead, out of that entire group, maybe 3 of them come to you, 1, 2, 3 each month. And they say, hey, look, I'm not going to be able to continue. I can't afford it anymore, or I'm going to be moving, or my back hurts, or whatever the case is, but they need the free. Would you rather handle the billing of 3 customers every month, okay, because they came to you with a week's notice before the next billing and handled those, and the others just are getting billed because they're training. They're just continuing to train, or every month be a billing. I use it in the training and I say, do you want to be a bill collector? Anyone in this room want to be a bill collector? Raise your hand, because the reality is if you don't, Stephen, this is a great question, because if you don't set up your billing properly, next thing you know, you're spending half your time. And some of those trainers out there that are dealing with this pain, they know what I'm talking about. Look, there's 2 parts to a transaction in business. There's 2 parts. There's a credit and there's a debit. If you charge somebody on PayPal or Cash App, you're tracking one part. Where's the other part being tracked? You have a session that you owe. It's a liability. You have the cash, but then you have a liability. And so you need an operating system that is going to do the billing on a monthly basis, but is going to track not only the payment, but the sessions that are due. And some of the trainers out there now are using Cash App. They're creating spreadsheets. The client says, how many sessions do I have left? They're going into their phone or onto the Google Calendar and counting sessions. No, you should be able to go into a program. There's tons of them out there today, where you basically just literally see how many sessions they have. Oh, you've paid for 50, you've used 30, you've got 20 sessions left, something like that. So, Stephen, I hope that helps you when it comes to setting up your billing. Definitely use an operating system. Definitely set it up on a reoccurring. And I also am a firm believer, do not put anyone into a long-term contract. Don't like that. Things come up, and I'd recommend just go month to month. If you're good, I promise you're going to have enough business and you don't have to be concerned. They're going to want to stay with you. They're going to want to keep training with you when you're good. And if they don't, then that's a sign that you need to improve your business. So that's how it. Doug, anything on the billing?
No, I think you got it pretty rock solid. Pretty rock solid.
Okay. All right. We're getting close to a close here, guys. Thank you so much. We got a lot of great questions. Last one is from Rick in San Diego, California. I've heard, and I don't know, but I hear San Diego has the best weather of anywhere in the world. Like San Diego is it's really nice. I've only been there once. It was nice. I was only there for a couple of days, but Rick asks, how much should I charge for online training? How much should I charge for online training? There's a lot to dive in here, and I would want you to be more specific. If you go back to one of our past videos, you'll see I broke this down for you. I'm not going to go through the 3 things because we don't have time, but I will tell you this much. I'm just going to shoot right to it. Generally speaking, okay, how much should you charge for personal trainer? For online training? Okay, no less than that amount. Okay, no less than that amount. No less, literally, probably no less than $2,500 if you have a really good program and you can get really good results. But generally speaking, I'm not a fan of the low ticket. I'm not a fan of the coaching. The reason why I'm not a fan of the low ticket is because that's really not serving people. I don't believe it's going to help some people, but that's just like sending out meal plans and exercise plans for $50, $100. I don't like that. The coaching, the reason why people go online is because they want flexibility and freedom. If you're coaching, you're back to the schedule. You're back to having to report Monday, Wednesday, Friday at this time. So a lot of people that do online training are wanting to do it so they can have the freedom and the flexibility, not only of where they're training, but how they're training. And the only way to do that is high ticket, where you set up a group coaching call. And yes, there might be a session once a week or something like that you meet with your clients. But generally speaking, you put together a program that they're able to go through on their own that is really effective. Now, at the very beginning, you do fitness testing, measurements, set goals, accountability, educate them. But then they go through the whole program on their own, self-paced. And I've found that to be the most effective. It's scalable. It's the only thing that's also scalable. The low ticket, very hard to scale because the price is so much and the cost of advertising is so high. The coaching program, you can't scale that because there's only so many people in the day, only so many people that you can serve and have scheduled appointments with. But the high ticket, you can scale that. So if you're really good and develop something really special that gets really good results for its customers, sky's the limit. So Doug, any thoughts on that? I know these are this is another business question.
Great questions. Great questions.
Anything I missed on the online?
I only wish we knew specifically what he was talking about, because we do hear online training, and what we know is that for the vast majority of trainers that ask us that, we're not really sure exactly. We might have different definitions, and so I know online training for folks that we talk with is taking what we do live in person and figuring out how to do that in front of a computer and a Zoom call or something like that. And that's not what we're talking about. I mean, you could do that, of course, but like you're saying,
don't do that.
Scalability is just
don't do it. Yeah,
it's just not what we need to be doing, for sure.
Doug, but that brings up a really good point, because a lot of people do think that. A lot of people think online training is, I'm going to meet with you at 6 p.m. and I'm going to put a camera on yourself and
we see it,
coach you through a workout. And don't get me wrong, some people are doing that because that's what they think mostly online training is, but that's not what it is. Generally speaking, that's not what online training is. We'll dive into it a little bit deeper on our next talk. We're getting to the close here, guys. Thank you again so much for coming in with all these questions. We appreciate it, and we hope that we've brought some value to you guys today, and that you have an incredible week. Doug, any last words?
You have the sales. Didn't you want to talk about the sales? Right, I wrote that down at the very beginning.
Doug, you forgot to. All right, so check this out. Next time, I promise we're going to talk about it. Very important. There's 3 really big ingredients to a personal trainer that hits a good sales volume to provide for themselves and their family. You have to have all 3 of these ingredients. I promise you show up next Wednesday at 2:00, and we are going to dive into each one of those. It's going to be a good time. So, awesome. Doug, what little inspiration can you leave them with this week?
I like the when we had the question on the back injury and how to train back injuries, and that kind of made me think. Once again, I'm always thinking, how do you provide the highest level of service and help individuals where they're at? And so I just want to leave everybody with one thought, which is that everybody that comes to you, every client, has some different need, and they're at different places with their training and nutrition. And that's one of the most important things that I could help trainers with, is to understand that you've got to isolate and find out what that is, so that you can help that particular person leave the training session with you, leave the time there with you saying, man, that guy or that girl just helped me more than I could have ever imagined. So I think that would be a good way to end it.
Cool. I think that's perfect. So guys, again, thank you for being a part of this. Inspire as many people as you possibly can. Until next time, Doug and Corey checking out Personal Trainer Talk. We'll see you next Wednesday. Thanks for being here. See ya.
Have a great day.